you need to think about what's valuable in your life because there are hierarchies of value. So you got to think about stuff in terms of rarity and um, meaning. So there are things that people think are valuable when actually they're just important, if that makes sense, which could be a sense of value, but it depends on how you define it. So obviously, something that everyone thinks is valuable is money, which it is valuable, but the thing is, money in this world is so um, not scarce. It's so abundant. You can always make more money. Okay, you can't make more time or make more family um, or health if it's too far gone. You can make your health better, but you can't get more time. You can maybe extend your time if you're healthy, but you know, in order for you to make the correct decisions in life and to shape a life based on things that are valuable, you've got to figure out what's valuable to you because it might not be the same for everyone and it might be in a different order. Um, for example, for my hierarchy is time, family, and then specifically my close circle of friends. Not all friends, but like there's a specific few friends that I consider essentially family or just below family. So I go, well, time, health, family, close friends, money, and then friends. Um, that's why I'd rank the order of things which I value. So, you know, when it comes to time, though, it's just how is your time spent? What is your time spent doing? Is your time spent playing video games? Or is it spent with family? Is it spent getting healthy? Or is it spent getting money? Now, when you got to figure out how to allocate that time, obviously you've got to allocate time to all of them. And um, things like getting money, you're probably going to have more time allocated towards that just because of work, because of side projects, and because you can't always be with your family and friends. But you know, if you were having to decide between a a family's birthday party or a friend's birthday party, if you don't have a hierarchy of priorities, you would find that quite hard to decide. But because I've already decided my hierarchies, I choose the family birthday party over friends all the time. But there's benefits to having predetermined principles and hierarchies because first of all, it leads to like congruency. Um, so like you're not gonna make two alternate or opposing decisions in your life, causing people to become confused. Kind of people will know where you stand with them in a good way, and it also shows integrity as well. And also, um, it's good for guidance and it makes you less confused in certain decisions. And it's not just deciding between family and friends, for example. It's deciding, um, you know, what am I going to focus or spend my daily time doing? Like, am I going to allocate a part of my life that is dedicated to becoming healthy, like going to the gym? So if you've got a choice between playing a video game from 8 or 9 p.m. or going to the gym 8 or 9 p.m., well, playing the video game isn't as important as health, because health would be second. You got time and health are the top two. And also, health is the most important thing that you can possibly have before time or after time, sorry, or it's a weird one because you can become healthy to get more time. So you could argue, well, health is more important than time because health can give you more time, but then you need to spend your time on working on your health to get more time. So it's a bit of a like chicken and egg kind of thing. But if health is up there, it's your main priority, and then the reason to put health above family is the same reason. Um, Obviously, if it's emergencies and things like that, then there are exceptions to the rule. It's not like a strict principle that you can never break. Obviously, you got to use your common sense now. Again, let's say if it's your friend's 21st birthday party, okay, maybe you could avoid going to the gym that night, and your health might take a hit, for example. But on a daily basis, you need to work on your health. So with health brings more time and also more ability to um, support your family, um, less likelihood of your family being anxious about your health, more time spent like living a longer life to spend more time with children, brothers, sisters, parents. If everyone works on their health and lives longer, you get to spend more time with each other. Um, so health is super important. It's like the whole aeroplane thing. When you fit in an oxygen mask, you've got to fit your own oxygen mask first, and then fit your family or friends. Because if you pass out, you're going to be no good to anyone, are you? So um, it is important to really think about what your principles are and the hierarchy of principles and what you value. And, if you, I should say to this, all of this is under the umbrella of God, because once you have God as the highest factor above all, that's just a given for me. I don't really include it on the hierarchy because it's a given. God is like the umbrella protective force that everyone is under. So, like, for example, there's a hierarchy in the household as well of principles of like protection that I have just in my head. No, I've not told anyone. This isn't like something that's explicitly known. It's just in my head. And also, yeah, Yaz probably knows this too. But so the larger umbrella. I'll work from the bottom. The bottom is my daughter, and above that, protecting her is Yaz. And above both of those two, there's a larger umbrella, which is me. So I protect Yaz and Bo. Yaz protects Bo. And then above me, there's an even larger protector, which is God. So God protects us all. Then I protect Yaz and Bo. And then Yaz protects Bo. So that's just another kind of hierarchy principle that I hold and live my life by. And then also, like, just so you know, and like, if you've got to make split decisions or if you've got to make tricky decisions in your life, if you look at your principles and your hierarchy, the thing with principles is, even though principles are rigid, there's a degree of flexibility. So you can apply them, and they can be applied. So you can apply them flexibility in terms of, like, um, let's say, for example, you're in a very specific situation, and um, you Google something. It's like, what do I do in this specific situation? Okay, and then you get like just a to-do list, an actual blueprint of what to do, and you follow it to the T, or you are following it to the T. But then let's say hypothetically you get halfway through and the situation changes slightly. Now all of a sudden you've got to Google it again. Like, what do I do now? And then you've got to find the exact scenario. You've got to go through, but what should you do? Like, you should almost game theory every single potential option. Whereas if you have a principle, you know, well, my principles are saying this, so I've got to do this. Like, I've got another principle in life, which is to always have options, because when you have options, you don't become emotionally attached too much to certain routes, and you can change, and it puts you in a bit of a power position. So let's say you can literally do it with anyone. Let's say it's just a normal negotiation. Let's say you're buying a house, and you can quite easily get emotionally invested into a house. Um, let's say you only visit 5 houses, and you like one of the 5 houses, and then there's a bit of market pressure, a bit of sales pressure. There's other people interested in the house, so then you start bumping up the price, and you might get past asking price, or you might essentially bid higher than you would if you were to have 2 or 3 other homes that you've seen that you are just as interested and emotionally invested into. Because when you've got multiple, you're less likely to have that same depth of emotional investment in the one house, or have, apply this to anything, literally anything. The same rule applies. Like, if you have more options, you also can start to do things rather than bidding too high for the house. You can also start to play them off against each other. Let's say um, it's a job, and you got 4 job offerings rather than 1 job offering. You can say, well, this job over here is offering me X and you're offering me Y. So, if you can offer me X, which is higher than Y, then I might consider it a little bit more. And you're more likely to be a bit ballsy and say things like that, because it matters less to you, and you don't mind risking losing the job because you have 2 or 3 other options. If you were just all sold in on this one option, and it was a job that you really liked, and it was like 40K or something a year, and you were like, okay, that sounds good. But then, let's say last minute they were saying, we've got another guy who's willing to do the job for 30, 35K. If you can do it for cheaper, then we'll hire you. And then you end up saying, oh, well, I'll do it for 32 then. I'll do it for 32. Because you're emotionally invested in the job, and you get desperate and you make silly, impulsive decisions. So these are things that, like, principles, and you should have few but effective life principles. You're not going to have a principle for every single situation, but you're going to have some good ones and some bad ones, some ones that you cast out, and it's almost like an evolving list over time. I've been using principles for a long time now, like 8 years, probably about 8 years, and it's seen me well in a lot of occasions, especially the having options ones. One that really helped out. It has bitten me in the arse a few times, whereby I didn't actually have the options, yet it became of my personality to be a bit brazen in terms of negotiation, because I've always had, or I always make sure to have options. So it becomes part of your personality after a while to be a bit more brazen negotiating. And then if you don't have the options, and then you realize, oh, I've just screwed myself a bit. But then it forces you to find more options anyway. So it's kind of like came out of the scenario well, but you learn that some people react poorly to being brazen, and some people react well to being brazen. But if you have the options, it doesn't matter to you, because you're in a win-win scenario. So that principle has actually helped me so much in my life. and even when it comes to girls and stuff like that, it really helps. You should just try that one and test it. But Ray Dalio did his book Principles, which I read probably about last year, which I thought it was good, but I think it's overhyped a little bit, in my humble opinion. It's a very specific niche type book where it's for business owners. If you own a business, and it's probably good to read, but it's only good if you own a business that has like 50 to 100 employees, if you get what I'm saying. So it's a bit hard to relate to if you're just trying to make it as a solopreneur, or if you have just a job, or it's a bit like the whole kind of mental masturbation type of gig. It's not. I mean, it's good to know, but it's not really applicable. It's not like a Machiavelli Prince kind of thing, or Sun Tzu or Art of War, or 48 Laws of Power kind of thing, where you can like actually use the principles in there in your life, or lessons in there in your life. I'll tell you what's a good one. Is Cyrus the Great. It's called like Xenomorphs, Cyrus the Great, and it's a really ancient book. It's like his story. I think it's actually his diary, I think, or something like that. But it shows you about what he did, why he did things, and why that bred success and led to success. And it's like a war tactic book, but you can use it in business or any team, any type of team kind of related tasks. One thing that I learned from that book that's really good, which is a bit of a principle, is let's say you're higher up in a hierarchy. Try and if you're in a hierarchy, to keep team cohesion, you got to try and blur the lines of hierarchy as much as possible on a day-to-day basis, to not rub anyone's nose out of joint, to have everyone training with each other and everyone competing with each other. So like you're playing, so what he used to do was to keep people sharp in the battlefield. Everyone wore the same thing. There was no one with like flash armor or anything like that. Everyone had the same best quality armor, best quality swords, and they used to have games, like in-house games of battling with like wooden swords and stuff, and they used to have tournaments, and the tournaments would come prizes. You'd get banquets, you'd get all these like really, it's like you'd want to win it for like social status of being the best swordsman in the army and things like that. And you weren't allowed to take it easy on, let's say, the general, or like the general would compete too, and you would be fighting one-on-one with the general, and no one was gonna punish you or chastise you. You'd be congratulated if you beat the general, so they had like really good cohesion all the way up the ranks, because no one would act as if the sun shone out of the arse, for example. But if you can read as much as you can from history and learn what great people did in the past, and try and extract like gold some of the principles or information that led them to success, and apply it in your own life whenever you can, whether it's like a niche specific principle, or whether it's just a general guiding principle, like for example the hierarchy of needs of mine, which time, health, family, close friends, and then money, and then friends. The the more potent ones you have, it's more like quality over quantity. But the more quality principles you live your life by, the more quality your life is going to become. So that's me signing out for today.